Hey guys, this is the second part of what I am going into about the Easter, like why we celebrate Easter as Christians, like what the whole big deal is. And in Luke 22, it has to do with a couple different things, but I'm going to share with you two sections of verses. The first part, as I was looking over it, I noticed something that I had not known before. Listen to it. Now the feast of unleavened bread, called the Passover, was approaching, and the chief priests and the teachers of the law were looking for some way to get rid of Jesus, for they were afraid of the people. That's actually not something I noticed before. I just noticed that now. That just goes to prove whenever you read through something, read through the Bible, you're always going to get something different out of it. They were looking for some way to get rid of Jesus because they were afraid of the people. So if you get rid of something amazing that they can like glean from and follow, if you get rid of the one thing, they'll turn to you and you'll be the one that they glean from and follow. Yeah, this is why the priests and the teachers of the law were not, they just were crappy. And this is why even today we have a bad name as Christians, because we've got some crappy teachers. Then Satan entered Judas, called Iscariot, one of the 12. And Judas went to the chief priests and officers of the temple and discussed with them how he may betray Jesus. Satan entered Judas. It wasn't Judas as himself, as a follower of Christ, who betrayed Jesus. Satan literally entered his body so he could do his bidding. Satan is the one that set the whole thing up. And Judas went to the chief priests and officers of the temple guard to discuss with them how he might betray Jesus. They were delighted and agreed to give him money. Of course they were delighted, because they were against him too. He consented. He said, sure, I'll do it, and watched for an opportunity to hand Jesus over to them when no crowd was present. Because if there's a crowd there, if people are watching, and you take away the one person who is giving them hope and giving them amazing truth and amazing news, of course they're going to revolt. They're going to be like, what the crap are you doing? And okay, so this next part, we're still in Luke 22, but it's 39 through 62. Peter's betrayal. Okay. Jesus went out as usual, so this is a normal thing, to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples followed him, because this is a normal thing. You know, we're just going. On reaching the place, he said to them, pray that you will not fall into temptation. Okay. He withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, knelt down, and prayed. If I take a stone and throw it, that's like 100 feet. Not even. Like 50 feet away. Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done. Jesus didn't want to do it either, but he knew it was the only way. So he was legit praying to God, the Heavenly Father, God, to do anything else that he could, if possible. An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. That's some serious praying, guys. That's some serious sweat. When he rose from prayer and went back to the disciples, he found them asleep, exhausted from sorrow. So because of the grief of the day, Jesus is over there praying, hoping to get out of the thing that God is wanting to do through him, even though He knows it's the only way. 50 feet away. And because these guys have been sad and grieving all day too, they fell asleep. And he asked them to not fall into temptation. What is the temptation? Why are you sleeping? He asked them. Get up and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. Sleep was the temptation. They were tempted to fall asleep instead of staying up praying with Jesus. Okay. When he was still speaking, a crowd came up, and the man who was called Judas, the one that Satan entered, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him. Yeah. But Jesus asked him, Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss? When Jesus' followers saw what was going to happen, they said, Lord, shall we strike with our swords? And one of them struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. Jesus answered, no more of this, and he touched the man's ear and healed it. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, the officers of the temple guard, and the elders who had come for him, am I leading a rebellion that you have come with swords and clubs? I'm sitting here praying. Do I look like a rebel? And you did not lay a hand on me, but this is your hour when darkness reigns. Because you do stuff in the dark. You do stuff. You do what you shouldn't when people can't see you. Then seizing him, they led him away and took him into the house of the high priest. Peter followed at a distance. But when they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down, Peter sat down with them. A servant girl saw him seated there in the firelight. She looked closely at him and said, this man was with him. But he denied it. Woman, I don't know him, he said. A little later, someone else saw him and said, you also are one of them. Man, I am not, Peter replied. About an hour later, another asserted, certainly this fellow was with him, for he is a Galilean. Because they have, a certain look to him. Peter replied, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word the Lord had spoken to him. Before the rooster crows today, you will disown me 3 times. And he went outside and wept bitterly. Jesus knows. Jesus knows us. God knows us. He knows what we're going to do. He'll tell us. He'll be like, this is going to happen. This is what you're like. This is what you're going to be like. And we don't want to listen to it. Why would we want to listen to it? Especially something like that. No, I'm not going to deny you, blah, blah, blah. Dude, you're human. And you don't want to die. You don't want to be tortured. You don't want to go through what Jesus is about to go through. Of course you're going to deny it. You're going to want to get out of it. You don't want people to know who you are. Yeah. Betrayal and arrest. It's crazy what Jesus went through.